land reforms and cropping pattern. Next one is crop insurance, agriculture credit, agriculture marketing, MSP and PDS. And the next topic is agriculture revolutions and technology. Next one is technology missions and e-technology. And the next one, food processing industry. Next, industry and infrastructure. And the next one is infrastructure sector. And the last one is investment model. All these topics are belonging to mains, which is completely dedicated as a written exam. So we don't need to focus on all these topics for preliminary exam. So if we are preparing for the prelims, we can skip all these topics. So all these lectures we can all these topics we can skip for the mains. So generally we have to focus, if we are preparing for the prelims, we need to focus initial topics, which is mentioned from economics concepts. These topics, economics concepts, banking in India, monetary policy, security market, money and inflation, national income and its concepts, economic growth and development. The next one, tax structure in India and public finance in India. And the next one, external sector. And the next one is exchange rate system, comma, trade policy and agreements. And the next topic is poverty and unemployment. And final topic is government schemes and social security schemes. These topics completely belongs to the preliminary examination. If you are preparing for the prelims, so you must have to prepare all these topics. You must have to prepare all these topics which is mentioned in this document which have been provided to you. So initially we can take from topic number 1 to page number 6 to government schemes and social securities. And for online student, the PDF have been provided to you, and you can take the printout of that particular PDF, because if you are preparing for this examination, you must have to aware about the syllabus. What is syllabus? According to UPSC, there is no syllabus have been defined perfectly. So on the basis of presumption, or we can say on the basis of trend analysis, we have this kind of syllabus. Once we go through with the syllabus, we will understand what is important and relevant. And if we are preparing for economics, Indian economy, what kind of topics are relevant? Because if some of the teachers and some of the mentors will tell you about to read the newspaper, if they are telling you about to read the newspaper, so what kind of articles are important for you? How would you know this? After the understanding of syllabus. So it is very much essential for you to understanding the syllabus, to read the syllabus carefully, and then you can easily find out what is relevant and what is irrelevant. Because without the help of newspaper, you can't crack the examination. Newspaper includes several kind of and several type of information. Just like, suppose if we read newspaper, we get an idea about geopolitics at national levels, at international levels, how it is affecting us. So such type of things, if we are reading and we are not knowing about the syllabus, we cannot catch the perfectly things what is important for us. So before starting this syllabus, we have to understand, we have to read it properly. If anything is happening in India, suppose that government is merging PM Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana into National Food Security Act. So we have to understand ki why this particular scheme is relevant for us. Why the government has merged this scheme into the National Food Security Act. What is the constitutional provision have been provided for the citizens of the country. अगर हम ये नहीं समझ पा रहे कि फूड इतना जरूरी क्यों है, फूड फ्री में जरूरी क्यों है, तो हम में और उन लोगों में कोई अंतर नहीं होगा, those who are criticizing the government for the freebies. वो क्या कहने लग रहे हैं कि सरकार फ्री में सबको मुफ्त में क्यों बांट रही है, because they are not understanding the concept of the socialism. This is the problem with them, na? Yes or no? If they are understanding the concept of socialism, they are understanding about the DPSP, which basically providing the responsibility to government to protect the life of the every citizen of the country. This particular syllabus is providing an idea for you to understand this particular lifestyle. When you are into the profession, then you will understand ki what is the relevance of this particular syllabus. Suppose if you are visiting a village and there are many people who are facing the chronic hunger, so how you will deal with the problem? Then you will write some letters to the super authorities. Then you will ask some food for them, because you are understanding the constitutional provision, you are understanding the fundamental rights of the citizens, you are understanding the provisions and powers of the government which can be ensured for the people. Then you will be a better administrator for their particular your jurisdiction. If you do not go through these syllabus, you will not understand what kind of the problems can be faced by the banks. Suppose a borrower take the loans from the bank and he is unable to repay it. You need to understand the both basically point of view. You have to understand the point of view of the banks and you as well as the point of view of the borrowers. So you cannot take one-sided decisions, but you need to understand why he is not repaying the loans. आपको ये पता होना चाहिए. So if he, suppose that if you write an notification order to the banks ki please do not recover the loans from them, so you have to understand, if you are writing this, so who will pay the loans to the bank? So these type of practices, when you have to perform, when you don't have to perform, you have to understand, because these things we read in the theoretical part, but we have to perform with the community. So this is the relevance and importance of the syllabus. Ki what syllabus have to study and what you not have to study. You have to practice only last 5-year questions. That's enough for you. And the UPSC pattern was not the same at every time. It was changed in 2013. It was completely drastically changed. Initially it was changed, but currently whatever the pattern you are seeing in the UPSC, that is different from the previous one. Before the 2013, उससे पहले कुछ अलग pattern था. There was only 2 GS papers, but currently we have 4 GS papers, and there was 2 optional papers in the before 2013. There was 2 options, but currently there is only 1 option. It has 2 papers. अब आज तो पूरा बदल गया ना ये. So now we have to study according to latest pattern. We have to study according latest pattern. So how we will understand the latest pattern? Just write and repeat all those questions which have been asked in the previous 5 years. Not more than this. If you are practicing your previous year questions from 2018, 19, that's enough. Enough for you. There's no need to practice all those questions जिसमें आपने बहुत पहले, क्योंकि उसमें फिर the level of question was not good. वो time के साथ बढ़िया होता है. आप कोई भी एग्जाम ले लो, दैट्स नॉट अबाउट द यूपीएससी ओनली, दैट्स अबाउट द एसएससी, सीडीएस, सीएपीएफ, नीट, जेई, एनीथिंग. So if you want to become a relevant candidate for the UPSC, you have to practice for only 5 to 6 years back questions only. But there is a condition with the preparation. Earlier I told you, read newspaper on daily basis. Don't go for the shortcuts. Sometime you read magazines, that's good, but that's not enough. Because if you are writing something, you have to write better words, better vocabs. How you will get these vocabs? You will not get these better vocabs from the magazines. So several times we have seen that most of the students go for magazines. They read it and they understand that the magazines are enough to crack the exam. Magazines are enough to crack the prelims, not the exams. They can help you to crack the prelims, but they cannot help you in the mains. Because the mains is completely belonging to writing skill. And you need to develop it by practicing a lot. No one can improve your writing skill without your consent. If you don't want to write better answer, you can never write better answer. So this is the first condition. If you are preparing for the UPSC, you have to read newspaper carefully. To read some better content, if you are reading the magazines, that is also good. But that can help you in prelims. That will not directly help you in mains. Sometimes you can get the better, you get the content, but you will not get a better language. If you आपको लगता है कि ये ठीक बात नहीं है, तो आप एक काम करो. There is an article which is mentioned in the newspaper and same article have been given in the magazine. Just read it. आपको कुछ नहीं करना है, आपको एक ही आर्टिकल दोनों जगह पढ़ना है. After reading both things, you will understand what will be the outcome. The outcome will be there. The magazine is providing only the summary of that article, but the heart and soul will be provided by the editorials. When you read it, उसमें आपको दिखेगा कि ये आर्टिकल जिंदा है. So that's why it is highly recommended for you. You read the newspaper regularly and do not skip it. Make habit for this. Early morning when you wake up, just read the newspaper 40 to 45 minutes. The newspaper are covering every dimensions. The dimension of science, the dimension of politics, the dimension of international relations, geopolitics, geography, economics, social securities. The newspaper is covering all these aspects. When we make habit of reading the newspaper, it is helpful for us because we are collecting all the dimensions context. अदरवाइज क्या होगा, न्यूज जब आप पढ़ लेते हो कोई मैगजीन, तो वो न्यू मैगजीन तो लगती कि हाँ ठीक है पढ़ लिया, और you read the magazine as a task. We have completed January magazine, we have completed February magazine, we have completed March magazine, and you are not analyzing what is the exact outcome of these magazines. Is it improving your content? Is it improving your vocabs? Is it improving your writing skills? If that things are improving, you must carry on. If they are not helping into improving your writing skills, you should stop it. And you need to find out some other ways to crack it. So what is the basic problem with the student? Because they are not curious about the preparation. They don't even think about it. They are being monotonous. They are practicing all these things, whatever the other is practicing. वही चलता है जो दूसरे करते हैं. If you are preparing for the Bihar PCS, UP PCS, you ask someone कि what you are reading for the special, Bihar special, UP special, and he will recommend you to read this book. You will start reading. If you will not do something different to be a different, you can't crack it, because millions of the students are appearing in the examinations. So what topics are important and what kind of question have been asked in the previous year examination for the prelims? All the topics have been mentioned in your PDF, document. There are 24 topics I have segregated. And these 24 topics are mentioning how many questions have been asked since new syllabus have been provided by the UPSC since 2013. Previous 10 years we can say. External sector. External sector includes the foreign market, the trade with the foreign market. Recently a big news was coming through the USA, and they imposes the 50% tax on tariff on India. Have you heard about it? So this kind of issues arises when in the international politics there are several terms, key terms, which is quietly related in economics, that will also be in the news, just like reciprocal tax. Initially we do not study about the reciprocal tax. What is the reciprocal tax? Reciprocal tax is, suppose a country is imposing 20% tax on the other's item, so other country will also have to impose the 20% tax in reverse. Yes or no? This is called the reciprocal. Reciprocal means mirror. जैसा मैं इधर दिख रहा हूं मिरर में भी वैसे ही दिखूंगा. इफ सपोज कोई कंट्री किसी पर 20% का टैक्स लगा रही है, तो वो कंट्री रिस्पॉन्स में भी 20% का टैक्स लगा दे, तो उसको अपन क्या बोलेंगे? रेसिप्रोकल टैक्स. एंड दिस रेसिप्रोकल टैक्स वाज इन द न्यूज. And when you will appear in 2026 examination, they will ask what is reciprocal tax. And you were studying the textbook, you were studying the traditional, and you were not into the newspaper, then you will skip the question कि ये reciprocal क्या होता है? Direct tax, income tax, custom tax, corporate tax, anti-dumping tax. We have heard about this. What is reciprocal tax? So what will be the addition in your notebook that will be provided through the newspaper? So external sector, from the external sector they have asked 42 questions, but it is vastly covering foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, it is covering exchange rate, rupee dollar exchange rate, it is covering the foreign trade of India, import, export. So it is a vast, it has the vast syllabus basically. But if we talk about that in 10 years they have been asked 42 questions. On every year they are asking average 4 questions. So this is the important for us. We have to study what is balance of payment, what is foreign direct investment, what is current account, what is capital account. So how would you rate which topic is important for the prelims? So we will rate this topic 5 star. If you are preparing prelims, if we are focusing on the prelims, we will focus on it. Yes or no? We cannot ignore this topic. Just let's have a look here. Poverty. There was only one question have been asked from this segment, poverty. So it means it is the least important question. In last 10 years, they have only asked one question. And opportunity cost, law of demand and supply, only one question have been asked from this segment. Planning, they have only asked one question. So it means these are the most least asked topics in the UPSC exam from the economics part segment, and since 10 years they have only asked one question. So if we skip these topics, it's going to be okay for us. And if we talk about the land reforms, only two questions. Initially I told you land reforms since 1991, infrastructure, energy, industries, these type of topics are relevant in mains. But highly relevant question have been asked from external sector. Fiscal policy and government budgeting. If we take average of these questions, 20 questions have been asked from this segment. 20 questions have been asked from this segment. It means average 2 questions are being asked by the UPSC on every year. So fiscal policy and government budgeting includes what topics? Every year government prepares a budget and proposed in parliament. Yes or no? If the government proposed the budget in parliament, so every year it includes some new schemes, the spendings on the public welfare, government receipts, government expenditure. So such type of components are the part of the budget. So we have to study properly if we are preparing for the prelims. This topic, financial market, money market, these two topics are also relevant. Financial market means share market, capital market, mutual funds. Generally, if I teach in the mutual fund, the student ask me why we are reading such type of topics, because we are not preparing for the banking and CA exams. Then you must have to understand this is completely, the financial market is a base of industry in India. They are getting, the most of the funds are coming through the financial market for the industry in India. The government does not provide them directly support to the industries. Most of the funds, most of the borrowings, most of the capital, they are arranging through the financial market, and that particular industry is providing heavily employment for the people. So financial market, monetary policy is also relevant. SLR, CRR, have you heard about it? SLR, CRR, open market operation, repo rate, reverse repo rate. The question have been asked from this segment. 9 questions have been asked. So now you can rate the topic, which topic is more important for the preparation, which topic is least important for the prelims, and which topic is key important for the mains. Suppose money and money supply, inflation, payment ecosystem. Payment ecosystem, what is this topic? Generally, most of the textbook have not included this topic, because they are understanding, they are thinking this is current topic. Just like UPI, Bhim app, Aadhaar enabled payment system. You have to understand, you have to read it. Bhim app, Bitcoin. Bitcoin also have been asked in the previous year. Cryptocurrency. So what is the difference between the central, generally RBI have also launched a cryptocurrency, a digital coin. The central bank digital currency is how the central bank digital currency is different from the cryptocurrency. What is the basic differentiation between them? You have to know this. And how these currencies are working and which platform is providing to security to them. You say there is a technology which is known as blockchain technology. And how the blockchain technology works? Initially there is a आपने सुना होगा that Rahul Gandhi is claiming to the कि there are vote choris in the election commission have been conducted during Maharashtra election and Lok Sabha election. वहाँ vote चोरी हुई, and they are mentioning the election commission is involved. And some people are asking about this कि election commission must have to adopt the blockchain technology for the voting system. आएगा सवाल कभी. इसी साल आ जाए बड़ी बात नहीं मेंस में। अब जब तक whenever you are not understanding how the blockchain technology is functioning, you will not understand why this demand have been arises. क्यों मांग रहे हैं ये, क्यों कर रहे हैं, आपको तब पता चलेगा कि इलेक्शन कमीशन अगर ब्लॉकचेन को ले भी आता है तो उसके क्या कॉन्सिक्वेंस हो सकते हैं एंड हाउ इट कैन बी बेनिफिशियल फॉर द सोसाइटी। दोनों हो सकता है ना। एग्रीकल्चर इंडस्ट्रीज के बाद आप देखोगे देयर आर एग्रीकल्चर हैज द पोटेंशियल because this agriculture is including all the segments, just like why this agriculture has the 23 question, because the sum of the question can be directly from the geography segment. Some question have been asked from, it is including the irrigation, it is including the PDS, it is including the current affair, it is including the MSP. That's why 23 question is being reflected. It is not being segregated. Energy sector, labor, employment, and after the energy sector you are seeing the questions are being declined, yes or no. So these type of syllabus have been provided to you for the better understanding how you can get an idea about it, which topic is relevant for your preparation and which can help you to crack the prelims. Once you crack it prelims, you need to focus on these topic which is mentioned from the 6th page number, and that will become, that is land reforms and agriculture. After the land reforms and agriculture to investment model, land reform and agriculture, is it clear? Land reform and agriculture to investment model, these topics are for mains. It doesn't mean these topic will not be asked in prelims, in mains. All these topics are relevant for mains, but primarily initial topics are relevant for prelims, and after after the government securities and social security schemes, all topics are only focused on, primarily focused on mains. Just if we ask about it, कि paper 3, this particular economics is the part of paper 3. So paper 3 have basically 4 segments. First is economics. Generally 50 marks question will be asked from this segment. 50 marks. So economics means infrastructure, monetary policy, inflation. This is the core of economics, na? But second segment is agriculture and allied sector, and this will ask for 50 marks. So 100 marks question will be asked from the economics and agriculture sector, and the total paper कितने marks का होता है? कितने marks का? 250. कितने marks का होगा? नहीं बताया क्या? 250 मार्क्स का. तो उसमें से 100 मार्क्स की क्या आनी है? इकोनॉमिक्स आनी है. तो इफ यू आर रीडिंग द इकोनॉमिक्स, हाउ द इकोनॉमिक्स इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू टू क्रैक द एग्जाम. फर्स्ट, they are going to ask you 14 to 15 question in prelims, 14 to 15 question in prelims, and they are going to ask you in paper 3 100 marks of questions they are going to ask you. So second तो ये हो गया. And it can also help you to write an essay. There will be an essay which can basically belongs to, which can be related to current affairs. Just like they have been asked a question, digital India. In the previous year examination, they have already asked, you have to write about the digital India. Digitally आपको कैसे ये, financial inclusion, women empowerment. So these type of, if they are asking the essay from these segments, you can write some economic aspect. You need to gather some economic content. And sometime in the geography, they ask you some question regarding the irrigation pattern, regarding the cropping pattern, regarding the crop diversification. These topic also belongs from the economics, and they can help you write in geography. And when you appear in appear in the interview, most of the question will be asked from the contemporary issues. So contemporary issues have majorly four dimension. First is political dimension, second is economic dimension, third is social dimension, and fourth is cultural dimension. Yes, Yano? So there is an economic dimension. If they are asking you something about the would write and just give me an opinion about India and US trade strain, you have to give, you have to uh, tell them कि why this kind of strain have been arises. अब ये जो situation पैदा हुई है क्यों हुई? If you are not understanding the trade of India and US, because India's and US trade is in favor to India, and they are saying the US administration is completely and continuously saying this, the India is high tax living country. That's why we are also reciprocating it, and we are imposing high tax on these countries. And they are also mentioned this, we will impose some secondary sanction on India. Why the US government is imposing the secondary sanction? Then they mentioned this because the India is purchasing oil from Russia. And now the interviewer will ask why the India is purchasing the oil from Russia. Now you have to understand, you must have to aware with this why India is purchasing. Then you have to put some data before them, because when we purchase it from somewhere else, it is costly, and when the the price of oil is higher, then it makes our food inflation is higher, and it makes uh, most of the things which is being transported for everyone, it will be costlier because the oil is higher, oil is available at the higher price. If we purchase the oil at the lower price from the Russia, so it will be better for us. Yes or no? So such type of things you have to present before the interviewer. तो वहां पर आपको इकोनॉमिक्स आपकी अच्छी होनी चाहिए. तो विदाउट इकोनॉमिक्स यू कैंट क्रैक इट. Is it clear to you? Anything you want to ask? Okay, as usual, write down the first topic, that is Indian banking system. Indian banking system. Indian banking system. Which is the apex body of Indian banking system? That is RBI. RBI is known to the Central Bank of India. Yes, Yano? RBI is known to the Central Bank of India. And according to RBI, there are two types of the banks. There are two types of banks. First is scheduled bank. First is scheduled banks, and the second one is non-scheduled bank. Non-scheduled banks. What is scheduled bank? According to RBI, there are two kind of the scheduled bank. First is commercial banks. Commercial banks. And second one is cooperative banks. Second one is cooperative banks. And commercial bank can be further classified into several categories. First is public sector banks, in bracket, yeah, public sector banks, and can be categorized into two categories. First is SBI, second is nationalized banks. Nationalized banks. Second is public sector bank, first is, and the second is private banks. Private banks. And private banks can be segregated into two parts. First is Indian private banks, and second is foreign banks. Foreign banks. And third type is regional rural banks. Regional rural banks. On the other hand, there is a cooperative bank. Cooperative banks means the banks where the members are the owner of the banks. Cooperative banks are two types. First is urban cooperative bank, and the second one is state cooperative banks, or you can write rural cooperative banks. And there is a third type which is not segregated yet, but one more type is available, that is differentiated bank. Differentiated banks. And these differentiated banks are known as, first is payment banks. Have you heard about it? Payment banks. And the second one is a small finance banks. Generally, these differentiated banks are trying to get the status of the commercial banks, but initially they are small, so that's why, because they are not providing the CBS core banking solutions, they are just limited, they are providing limited financial facilities, so they do not have the status of the commercial bank currently. Some of the banks are trying to expand their business and trying to get the commercial banks status of the commercial bank, but it will take time to become a commercial bank. And non-scheduled banks are not the important for our discussion, because non-scheduled banks are generally those banks which are not regulated by the RBI. Basically, these banks are regulated by the societies registered. These are the small banks which is not much affected, and these banks do not have accepted large portion of the amount by the public. These are the small banks. So initially, now we can say Indian banking system, apex body is RBI, which is known as central bank. And according to RBI, there are two kind of banks are existed in India. First is scheduled bank, second is non-scheduled. And if we talk of the non-scheduled bank, these banks are not regulated by, so that there is no need to further classification for this. These are the small banks which is not highly affecting the country's economy. But if we talk about the scheduled bank, according to RBI, scheduled banks are those banks which are mentioned in RBI's Act second schedule, so that if the banks which are classified into the second schedule of RBI Act 1934, that will consider as a scheduled bank. scheduled banks are classified into two categories. First is commercial and the second one is cooperative. Second one is cooperative. If we talk about the commercial banks have further classifications like public sector bank. Public sector bank means where the government owns more than 50% shares. Where the government owns more than 50% shares. It means these banks which is known as a public sector banks, they are the government banks. They are the government bank. There are two kind of the government banks are in India. First is SBI and second is nationalized. And the second type of the commercial bank is private bank. In India, there are Indian private banks just like ICCI, HDFC, Kotak Mahindra Bank. Yes or no? And on the other hand, there are foreign banks like HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of America, RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland. These are the banks which is being operated in India, but they have the status of the private banks. And how we can identify this is the Indian private bank, this is the foreign private bank? Indian private banks are owned by Indian private groups. These banks are owned by Indian private groups. But if we talk about the foreign banks are owned by the foreign entities, and it has the head offices in the outside the country. So where the head offices are located at outside the country, we can say these are the foreign banks. Suppose Royal Bank of Scotland, they have the branches here, but they do not have the head offices here. Hai na? And the third type is that is regional rural bank. These banks are basically operated for the semi-urban areas and rural areas where the most of the area was unbanked, where the branches were not being opened by the commercial banks because they was aware if they open their branches in the rural area they will not get better profits. Commercial banks are being operated for providing the financial services and ensure the profit. That's why they are being operated. Yes or no? And if they are being operated, the regional bank, the focus of the regional bank was to establish and provide the financial services as much as possible with the lower cost. Suppose if a person, those who are living in the rural area, and they ask for some credit from the bank, so RRBs and regional rural bank will provide them the credit at a lower interest rate in compared to commercial banks. Is it clear? In compared to public sector bank, in compared to private sector bank. But these banks are owned by the central government. On the other hand, there are second categorization of the scheduled bank, that is cooperative bank. Cooperative banks are basically classified into two categories. First is urban cooperative and the second one is urban cooperative banks. Mean those are operated in semi-urban areas and urban areas. Sometimes these banks have large number of account holders. So initially these banks has potential to become, in future these banks have the potential to become commercial bank, because initially they are operating in the cities. It may be possible they have good amount of deposit. On the second, if we talk about the second bank, these are the state cooperative. Basically these state cooperative banks are opened to provide credit and financial services to the rural areas, to the interior areas, to the vulnerable people, to the marginal people, to the small farmers, to each and every section of society, those who are not having the access of commercial banks. These banks tries to ensure the credit supply to them. If we take example of farmer, the farmer initially was heavily dependent on sahukas, money lenders. Yes or no? And the money lenders was charging high interest rate. When the farmers was unable to repay their loan, they stuck in debt trap. Yes or no? and sometime they mortgage their agricultural land, and when they unable to repay their loans, they become a landless farmer. Yes or no? So in that case, they arises challenges for their livelihood, and sometimes they take the societal attempts to resolve all these problems. The state government decided to provide some credit facility through the financial channel which is known as state cooperative banks. Is it clear? This is the structure whatever we have in the Indian economy for the financial supply, for the finance supply for each and every person. But it was not enough attempt have been taken by the government. Then in 2014 there was a committee which is known as Nachiket More committee. Nachiket More suggested if the government wants to expand their financial inclusion. What is the meaning of financial inclusion? Financial inclusion is a process where the government and the central government wants to connect maximum population with the financial system. It means if there are some people, those who are living in the rural area, they do not have the access of the bank account. What will be the consequence of that? They will not have the access of the government schemes benefit. Yes or no? If the person those who do not have bank account in the banks, what will be loss for them? First loss will be they will not get any benefit which have been provided by the government of India, just like PM Kisan Yojana. Under the PM Kisan scheme, the government is providing the cash benefit of the 6,000 rupees. Yes or no? If the cash benefit of the 6,000 rupees have been provided to the farmers, so this cash benefit provided will be provided under the DBT scheme, direct benefit transfer. If you have the bank account, the amount will be transferred and credited in your account. So this is the complete procedure. If a poor person, vulnerable person who is a farmer but are not having any bank account, it means he will not get access of this fund. So whatever the benefits have been provided by the government, whatever, if suppose a person who have the amount, if he deposits in the banks, so he will get some interest rate, so saving rate will be increased. Yes or no? So such type of things if happening in their particular area, so it makes farmers, vulnerable persons empowered. Yes or no? So in 2014, the Nachiket More committee recommended we need to introduce some new type of banks which primarily focuses on those people who do not have bank account. Then the concept of the payments banking, small finance bank arises, and then after the 2014, the RBI opened such type of banks. Establishment of the such type of banks become very popular. Now most of the people have the banking in India, banking account in India, and they are getting the benefits. If we talk about the rural area, interior area, the areas which are not initially accessible by the banks, now they have the access of the banking structure. Is it clear? Write down about the RBI. RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India was established Reserve Bank of India was established on 1st April 1935. 1st April 1935 in accordance with the provisions of accordance with the provisions of RBI Act 1934. RBI Act 1934. Originally, RBI was privately owned. Originally, RBI was privately owned. Privately owned, comma. RBI was nationalized on 1st January 1949. 1st January 1949. 1st January 1949. It is extra constitutional autonomous. It is extra constitutional autonomous body. It is extra constitutional autonomous body. RBI is a central bank. RBI is a central bank. RBI is a central bank of India. It is a and key responsible body to regulate banking system, banking system in India. Full stop. An amendment made in RBI Act 1934 providing statutory basis for implementing flexible inflation targeting. Flexible inflation targeting. According to, full stop, according to Section 45ZB of RBI Act 1934, comma, provisions of Monetary Policy Committee, Monetary Policy Committee is responsible for determining monetary policy stance in India. Look at here. If we talk about RBI, RBI is an autonomous body. Autonomous body. What is the meaning of autonomous? They are independent from the government decisions. Generally, if the government want to interfere, the generally government cannot interfere in the RBI. Whatever the decision wants they take, they can take. But it is not absolute power have been provided to them. In some cases, the government can interfere, but the government directly cannot interfere. There is a provision by which the government can interfere. But currently, if the RBI is autonomous, how it runs? It has a central board. It has a central board and consisting 21 members. How many members in it? That means there is a central board, and central board consisting how many members? 21. One is RBI's governor. RBI is governor, and 4 deputy governors will be there. Deputy governor. 4. Acha, if I am mentioning this 21 member, so it doesn't mean that every time 1 member will be there. It may be 19, but maximum it may be 16, it may be 18, but maximum member can be 21. So central board of the RBI can consist 21 member, not more than this. If I am mentioning this, there are 4 deputy governor. It may be possible that currently 3 deputy governors will be there. It may be possible. ये हो सकता है. Is it clear? So 4 deputy governors are there and 4 regional directors. 4 regional directors are also part of it. Regional branches of RBIs are situated at Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, and 2 government officials. 2 government officials are appointed by the government. Government officials means the employee which is working under the government. Suppose that sometime they belonging from Indian Economic Service. They are working in the revenue department of the government. They are working under the tax department of the government. Then the government can appoint them as a representative of the government in this board. And how many members are left? 10 members. 10 directors from various fields. These are the 21 members, and these 21 members are appointed by central government. Central government. After the appointment, the government cannot interfere in this board. Whatever the decision they are taking, that will be the final. But once the government appoints, the government will not interfere. But appointment of these members are coming through the government. So it may be, we can say the government basically directly cannot interfere. But if anything the central government wants, they can hint to them, okay, please make the policies according to whatever I want. Yes or no? So it is very basic to understand. There is no need to direct involvement of it. In some cases it happens. Suppose if the government feels the RBI is making plans, and these plans and the policies can affect the public of country, just like if the RBI is increasing the interest rate. Suppose RBI is increasing interest rate, and how it will impact the economy. If the interest rate goes up, the poor people will not be able to have the access of credit at lower rates? The loan will be expensive for them, yes or no? So suppose crop cultivation will be expensive for the poor people, for the farmers. If any person who is unemployed and planning to open a business, they have to pay more EMIs and they have to pay more interest, so it is not good for economy. Then the people will start criticizing to the government, yes or no? In that case, government will provide some direction to the RBI ki please decrease the interest rate, lower the interest rate. Then RBI can say ki no, no, you cannot interfere and we do not obey your directions. Then what will happen in that case? Because the people will complain to the government, na? People will not directly complain to the RBI. And who are the managing the people? The RBI, the government is managing the people. Government is accountable to the people. RBI is not accountable to the people. RBI is accountable to the government, and the government is accountable to the public. And then now the public is saying, please interest decrease the interest rate because loan is become expensive and we are unable to take the borrowings. What happens in that case? Then our government has some powers. Then government can use section 7 of RBI Act 1934. When the government uses section 7 of RBI Act 1934, what happens? In that case, the government can give directions to RBI for public welfare, yes or no? So this is the basically there is a clause which maintains the power, the sovereignty of the government to provide directions to the RBI. In such cases it may be possible. Generally it does not happens, because when the government is imposing this, it will reflect as a conflict between the government and RBI, and which is not good for the economy. And the economist will start criticizing the government. The government is trying to hijack the RBI, yes or no? So in that case, generally what we find, if anything is not in the right direction, so that's why the central government appoints such type of person, which generally consider the recommendations, whatever the recommendation have been provided by the government. They do not reject, and basically they also recommend to the government ki what kind of the recommendations are good and what kind of the recommendations are not good. If the central board thinks ki whatever the recommendation have been providing by the government, these are not good for economy. In short term it is helpful, but in long term it is not helpful. The economy is going to worst. Then obviously government will consider all these things, because they have to sustain the economy. They are elected for the 5 years. Initially the economy is performing better, but during the when they are completing their tenure, the economy is not performing well, they are not going to re-elect, yes or no? So generally the government also consider the recommendations what have been provided by the RBI, and they also prepares the plan according to them. Policies, when they prepares the budget, they also takes recommendations what have been provided by the RBI, because they understand, because these are the financial experts. They will provide better suggestions for the economic growth. But if we talk about the government basically have those people those who are elected and they are highly connected with the sentiments of the public. If suppose a person who is elected from the constituency and they do and that particular person have committed to the public कि once I will elect I will loan waive off, मैं आपका कर्जा माफ कर दूंगा, वो तो कह आया, because he wants to elect, he wants to win the election, that's why he committed such things. But if we talk about if the government अगर ऐसा करते हैं अगर कोई जीतता है तो what will be the result? The most of the candidate will make such promises to their constituencies. Once I elect and once I win the election, I will loan waive off. There is no need to repay the loans. The government will repay the loans. अब मान लो कितने मेंबर हुए पार्लियामेंट के अंदर? How many members, लोकसभा members are in the parliament? 543 members are there. And 543 members are basically promising their public कि we will loan waive off when we win the election. तो आप एज्यूम करो हजारों करोड़ का सौदा कर दिया है कि नहीं, thousands of crores. अब वहां पर what kind of challenges can be arises? First challenge, the loan waive off. Once the loan waive off, any person who get the benefit of this, once the person get the benefit of loan waive off, he will think कि loan waive off is quite easy. Next time when I'll take the loan from the bank, we need to wait for the election. We don't need to repay it. So Section 7 of the RBI Act 1934, basically government can give the direction to the RBI for the public welfare. Is it clear? Write down. Functions of RBI. Functions of RBI. Functions of RBI. First is issuing authorities. Issuing authority. Issuing authority means issuer of currency. Issuer of currency. Currency. 2 rupees note to 500 rupees note are in the circulation. Yes, but you have to understand coins and 1 rupee note basically not issued by RBI. It is print and mint by finance ministry. Finance ministry. And you have to understand whatever the currency is issued by the RBI, this is known as whatever the currency is being provided or issued by RBI, it is known as legal tender. It is known as legal tender. Legal tender means the currency which is being circulated by the law. It has law. It is backed by law. RBI has power to publish the currency. Legal tender. And it is also known as fiat currency. Fiat currency. It is also known as fiat currency. If I ask you कि dollar is fiat currency for Indians in India or not? Dollar is fiat currency in India or not? Do you have belief in dollar? If you have dollar, you can purchase anything from this Mukherjee Nagar market or not? Not. क्यों? First you have to exchange the currency in rupee, because we have all faith in rupee. Is it clear? So first of all, you have to understand what is the legal tender. If any currency which is in circulation, any currency which is in circulation, that the circulation is done through the law, the government passed a law, then the currency is being circulated in the economy, it means this is legal tender. But on the other hand, if we talk about fiat currency, fiat currency are those currency which are not backed by any asset. It means, suppose if you have 500 rupees, the 500 rupees have been published by RBI, but the RBI published this 500 rupees. RBI does not have any backup of 500 rupees in asset. It is not backed by gold. It is not backed by gold, any asset. At initial level, it was happening when the central bank was publishing any currency. What amount they are publishing, they have to maintain a reserve as a gold. Suppose they have to publish 5,000 rupees, they have to maintain 5,000 rupees gold in the backup, then they can publish. But now it is not being possible because the currencies, the amount of currencies is quite high, and we do not have that much gold, so that we cannot maintain this system. As of now, government, yeah, as of now, RBI does not have any gold behind the rupees. So it means whatever you have in your hand as a currency, that is only you do have faith in it. You basically accept as a currency. That's why that is currency. When you deny to accept, then it will not be currency. That's why there is a statement on your note, I bearer to pay. याद है, मैं धारक को इतने रुपए अदा करने का वचन देता हूं. Yes. So print or meant by the finance ministry. Second is distribution agency. Distributing agency. Distributing agency means the RBI is responsible to distribute the currency with the public. What is the channel? RBI distribute it to the bank, and then bank distribute it to the public. This is the some complete system. Public cannot directly access the funds from the RBI because the public cannot open directly account with the RBI. You just open your account with the bank, and the bank operates and open account with the RBI. Then RBI transfers money to the bank, and the bank transfers it to public. Second is monetary policy. Monetary policy. Why the monetary policy is basically prepared by the RBI and announced by the RBI? Monetary policy is responsible to maintain price stability and economic growth. So there is a policy which is prepared by the Monetary Policy Committee, but whatever the recommendation have been provided by the Monetary Policy Committee, that is basically applicable and executed by the RBI to ensure the price stability, to ensure the price. Indirectly, this particular term is mentioning what is the meaning of price stability. It means they want to focus to control the inflation, control the price stability. Is not the meaning कि price will remain stable always. No, it must have to stable according to the pocket of the consumers. If the prices are increasing and the consumers are unable to purchase it, then it is going to harm your economy. If the prices are increasing but the consumers are able to purchase it, then it is basically contributing in your economy as a economic growth. So there are two concepts. The prices must increase, but according to your pocket. Third is inflation control. The third is inflation control. Inflation control means just we have to, at this point of time, there is a 4 plus minus 2% provision. Yes or no? 4 plus minus 2% provision means there is a inflation where RBI has to maintain it minimum 2% to 6%. It should not be less than 2% and it should not be more than 6%, because if, and the ideal rate of inflation is 4%, RBI will try to stick the inflation here. But sometime inflation is, because inflation is not easy to control, because several components and several things are responsible for the inflation. Sometime inflation comes due to natural disaster. Initially, if you have remembered about the pandemic, there was a inflation arises due to some stocks, where the sanitizers and the mask was being stocked by the some black marketing was happening, and some middlemans were doing the same to generate extra profit. It was happening, yes or no? Yes. And maintain, and the next one is maintain forex, yeah, foreign exchange reserve. Foreign exchange reserve. Foreign exchange reserve. What is the meaning of foreign exchange reserve? Forex. Forex includes 4 components. There are 4 things which are included in the forex. First is foreign currency. Only foreign currency? No, this is incomplete. Foreign currency asset. Foreign currency asset means it includes foreign currency, first of all. It includes anything which is have been purchased in the foreign currency. That is, जैसे foreign currency bond, जैसे US Treasury bonds, any bonds. If the government have purchased anything in the dollar, in the euro, in the pounds, after selling all these things, the government will get these things, euro, pound, ये सब मिलने वाला है. So it means that is foreign currency assets. And the second one is gold. Second is gold. What is the forex? Forex, first is forex included, first of all, foreign currency asset. Second is gold, and the third is SDR. Third is SDR, special drawing rights. Special drawing rights. What is that special drawing rights? Is this type of unit to represent the currency. Suppose basically when we will study about IMF lecture, then we will understand how it works. Initially you have to understand is it type of currency, as it is not basically a currency, it is a type of unit to write the currency in the proper way. So basically generally it is initiated and it is launched by the IMF. So we can convert our currencies. Suppose that it is made up by some currencies like US dollar, euro, pound, yen, and the fifth one is RMB. This is complete a basket. This is a, suppose this is a basket, and this basket is known as SDR. Is it clear? This basket is known as, suppose there is a chocolate, single chocolate will be asked as a chocolate, but there's a bucket that that particular basket has the chocolate, some greeting cards, some other type of toffees, some cherry, that will consider as a gift hamper. Yes या no? Yes या no? उसको क्या बोलोगे अपन? कि गिफ्ट हैम्पर है लेकिन है ना चॉकलेट उसमें, तो सिमिलर थिंग, यूएस डॉलर इज अ करेंसी, यूरो इज अ करेंसी, पाउंड इज अ currency, yen is a currency, RMB is a China's currency, and this gift hamper is known as the SDR. Is it clear? Okay. And the fourth one is IMF trench. IMF trench. IMF trench means reserve position with IMF. IMF. Suppose when you become the member of IMF, you have to deposit some amount to getting a membership. That is kind of membership fees. When you deposit that amount, that is known as IMF quota, which gives you some sharing in IMF. Is it clear? And that particular amount, whatever you have deposited in that amount, you can use 25% amount of that particular deposit for whenever you are stuck in the balance payment crisis. So you can use, yani as a country, the country can use some amount from the IMF for the for in some cases of crisis. Is it clear? So this is called the reserve position with IMF, amount which is reserved in IMF, but that can be used as a foreign currency in case of emergency. Is it clear? So this is basically maintained by the IMF, RBI. Is it clear? It is weekly prepared. Yani this kind of the exchange reserve, the report of exchange reserve is published by the IMF by the RBI on the weekly basis. The next is developmental works. Developmental work. What kind of the developmental works can be done by the RBI? Batao. First, promote financial inclusion. Financial inclusion. Financial inclusion. Inclusion. It means RBI promotes the financial inclusion. RBI promotes the financial inclusion. RBI will prepare the plans where RBI will try to connect the maximum population to banking system. Yes or no? Next, promotes financial education. Yes or no? Education and awareness. Awareness. It means do not share your OTP with very unknown person. Functions of the RBI means issuing the authority. Basically, first, basically issues the currency. The currency is of 2 rupees to 500 rupees, and these type of currencies are considered as, and these are the known as fiat currency. But the coins and the notes are issued by the finance ministry. Is it clear? Distributing agency is also, and monetary policy responsible to implement the monetary policy also. So it means it also ensures to price stability and it ensures the economic growth. And the next one is inflation control. RBI is responsible to execute the inflation targeting for plus minus 2%, 2% to 6%. It means RBI is responsible to maintain the inflation at the rate of ideal rate of 4%. But sometime it is increases, but RBI has to control it to 6% if it is increasing, but it is decreasing, so RBI have to stop it to 2%. Minimum growth we want minimum inflation of 2% every year. And the next one is to maintain the forex and the foreign exchange. Foreign exchange means the maintenance of the foreign currency, gold, SDR, and IMF trench. These type of basket RBI every weekly RBI basically publishes the report, what comes and what goes. Basically, it is a matter of credit and debit. Sometime if you export anything, so currently what happens? Why this type of basket have been published by the RBI? Because the reason behind this, if you export anything, so it means you are selling anything to countries, then the RBI gets some foreign exchange. So it is good news for us. But if you are importing anything, but you are spending, you are giving the payments in rupees, but RBI have to make the payments in the dollar and the other currencies. So then we have to understand, when we are importing a lot, it will decrease, it will reduce our foreign exchange reserves. If our foreign exchange reserves are decreasing drastically, how it will be possible? So there will be some problems, like we are highly import dependent. If we are importing a lot, then forex reserve will decline. Second, if we are exporting less, then again the foreign exchange reserve will decline, and the foreign investment, foreign portfolio investment, such type of investment is coming to India is quite less. Then again the foreign, this particular basket have with less amount. So this is keep updating us ki what is the status of our forex reserve. And forex reserves basically covers the import. So generally we call it import cover. What is the meaning of import cover? Import cover shows what our forex reserve has potential and how many months are covered by the forex reserve. If suppose that currently we have forex reserve of the $600 billion, which has import cover of the 9 months. It means if we do not earn a single money from the day, if we do not earn any single foreign money from the day, then we have capacity to repayment of 9 months of the imports. So it is basically shows a power to the economies, to the world, whatever we have in our wallet. Is it clear? Generally the government and the foreign government also focuses on collecting more and more foreign currencies in their wallet, so that they can easily uh, basically conduct some imports without any obstacle, without any liabilities. Is it clear? Write down the next one. Scheduled bank. Scheduled banks. Write down scheduled banks. Scheduled banks are those banks which are mentioned in second schedule of RBI Act 1934. RBI Act 1934. Second, scheduled banks have to maintain CRR, have to maintain CRR, cash reserve ratio, with RBI and they are eligible to borrow money from RBI. Eligible to borrow money from RBI. They are eligible to borrow money from RBI. Is it clear? So according to schedule bank, banks which are mentioned in second schedule of RBI Act 1934. What is the meaning of it? It means they have to compliance with the RBI. Yes or no? Compliance with the RBI. They cannot disobey the RBI guidelines. Whatever the guidelines will be provided by the RBI, they have to follow it. Suppose, according to RBI Act, according to RBI Act 1934, they have to maintain a CRR. They have to maintain a cash reserve with RBI. It means whatever the deposits will come into the scheduled bank, they have to deposit a certain proportion with the RBI. Certain proportion with the RBI. It means they have to follow all the rules and regulation, whatever the guidelines have been provided, whatever the directions, whatever the suggestions have been provided by the RBI, they must have to follow. Initially, we can say if the banks which are non-scheduled, how we will identify? They do not basically, they are not compelled to follow all the regulations which is being provided by the RBI. Suppose non-scheduled banks are not mentioned in RBI Act. Yes or no? Not mentioned in RBI Act. They do not have to follow the compliance. What are the rules, regulations are being provided by the RBI? They do not have to follow. They can ignore it. They can say कि we are not legally bind to follow your instructions. So it means, is it possible to open a new bank in India? No, is it not possible? Because whatever whatever non-skilled banks are there, these are just like a cooperative societies. Cooperative societies. They are not highly focused on the banking system. They are not highly focused on banking system. They just arrange some funds for some people. It is they are performing. They are just performing their businesses at very small scale. They do not affect at large. They do not have. It doesn't mean they have the accounts of 1 lakh people, 2 lakh people. No, these banks are being just operated by the 500 people, 1000 people, not more than this. So there's no need of, they do not have capacity to become a bank basically. If these societies, yeah, these type of non-scheduled banks have capacity to become a bank, then RBI will start to regulating them, because RBI the understands what kind of scams can be possible here. Suppose if these are the banks which are non-scheduled and they are not being regulated by the RBI, so there are high chance that they can mislead the fund. They can basically lose the fund and they can mismanage the fund. So in that case, basically RBI have to understand, if these type of banks have large customers, large basis of customers, either these banks will be stopped and restricted by the RBI, or these banks will have to convert it into the scheduled bank. So there are only two options. Until they do not operate at a large scale, they are being operated, and these are available at the very least numbers, and in next few years these all will be shut down by the governments, regulating governments, whatever these are being regulated. So second schedule of the RBI being operated under these particular act, these banks are being operated. And the scheduled banks are, first is public sector bank. लिख सकते हैं, write down. So public sector banks, write down. Public sector bank. Public sector banks are those banks which are which are owned by government, comma, majority stake more than 50%. Ma- Majority more than majority stake more than 50%. Next, these can be broadly classified into two groups. First is SBI and second is nationalized bank. Next, nationalized banks are those commercial banks which are nationalized in which are nationalized in 1969 and 1980s. 1969 and 1980s. Next, in 1969, 14 banks were nationalized. 14 banks were nationalized which had paid up capital more than 50 crores. More than 50 crores. But in but in but in second phase in second phase, six more commercial banks were nationalized. Six more six more commercial banks were nationalized which had paid up capital had paid up capital more than 200 crores. In 1980s, there were 20 nationalized bank, 20 nationalized bank, full stop. But currently, there are 11 nationalized banks are left after mass scale of merging mass scale of merging nationalized banks into other nationalized bank. In bracket, other nationalized bank. In bracket, one bank in 1993, two bank in 2019, and six banks in 2020. Next, State Bank of India is the largest commercial bank in India. It was established by replacing Imperial Bank of India Imperial Bank of India in bracket 1921 1921 bracket close, established in 1955 with enactment of SBI Act 1956. Act 1956. Full stop. The next, private sector. Private sector. Private sector banks are privately owned in bracket major stakes to private groups. To private groups. Private groups. There are several banks in India, just like such as ICICI, HDFC, Kotak Mahindra, etc. Foreign banks are उसी में लिखना, write down. Foreign banks are also treated as private sector banks, but owned by foreign entities. Owned by foreign entities. Foreign entities. Write down the next. All above banks are regulated by RBI under the provisions of RBI Act 1934 and Indian Banking Regulation Act, Regulation Act 1949, 1949, 1949. Indian bank, Indian banking market, Indian banking market is dominated by public sector banks in terms of asset and liabilities both. In terms of asset and liabilities both. Is it clear? It means कि most of the deposits are in the public sector bank, but most of the loans are also being provided by the public sector bank, not private sector bank. Private sector bank has second place after the public sector bank. So if we study about the challenges and problems of the banking system in India, so basically these kind of problems majorly belonging to the public sector bank. Suppose a person who is not repaying the loans, if such type of case, if the economy has 10 cases, so 7 cases will belong to the public sector bank. And one more thing, if we compare the public and private sector, the public sector in comparison to the public sector, private sector banks are more efficient, effective, they have better managements, they have less problems in compared to the public sector banks. So tomorrow we will study about this, what kind of the problems and challenges they are facing, and currently if the government, if the public sector bank are struggling, how they can come out from these situations. Okay, so that's done for the day. कोई क्वेश्चन हो